Time now for business news with Ari Rabinovitch. Hello, Ari.
Hey, Cynthia, how are you doing today?
Awesome, thank you. Let's start with some donuts and a coffee, shall we?
If you're buying, sure.
Sure, I'll buy.
Well, the good news is, yes, Cynthia, actually a lot of people are buying, whether it's coffee and donuts, I'm not sure, but probably. The point is Tim Hortons isn't doing too badly at all, considering customers generally are dining out less. The latest earnings results from the parent company, Restaurant Brands International, which is behind Tim Hortons, Burger King, and others, saw comparable sales growth last quarter of 2%, with Tim Hortons carrying the weight of that. Again, even as the majority pull back on their spending, I guess Tim Hortons is one of those standouts. Now, the other company, Restaurant Brands, is behind. Burger King saw little to no growth last quarter. Like many other fast food chains, it's offering value options like $5 meal deals to try to win over those value-conscious consumers, similar to McDonald's, which showed last week that it actually had its same-store sales fall for the first time since 2020. So it's good news, at least for Tim Hortons in that regard, Cynthia, and investors seem to like that for Restaurant Brands International. The stock was up today.
Okay, the Ford government getting set to expand alcohol sales. We've talked a lot about this. And one convenience store chain is looking to cash in, but we're getting more information that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this, Cynthia, but yes, 7-Eleven, like other convenience stores, will be able to sell booze like wine, beer, and coolers in its stores. And that's coming as no surprise. That'll start on September 5th in most stores, but in some, you're going to be able to drink them in stores. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because most times when I go to 7-Eleven, it's to get something and get out. But I guess 7-Eleven wants to keep people there for a while. So we'll see what it looks like. It's going to start with 2 locations in Southern Ontario and maybe roll out to others by the end of the year, next year.
So very interesting. Okay, earlier we talked about Tim Hortons. Now we're looking at another very Canadian company, Ari.
And similar to what we were talking about with Tim Hortons and Burger King, customers just simply not spending as much these days. And that was the case at Canadian Tire, one of the country's oldest retailers, but they've still found a way to stay on top of their profits. In fact, even though same-store sales did fall at Canadian Tire, as well as its brands like Sport Chek and Mark's Work Wearhouse last quarter, it still saw profit almost double what it was in the same period last year.
Oh, interesting.
So however it's managing to do that, being cutting costs where it can, analysts are also liking it. They've upgraded the stock, Cynthia.
Okay, good news for Canadian Tire.
Absolutely.
And you're right, a very Canadian company.
Absolutely.
Ari, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.